Hello and welcome back to Umineko. Last time we had caught up to right before the family conference as people were traveling there, and we got to see Rosa being an even worse mother than was implied before. Inside a bathroom stall, George was practicing something over and over, taking out a small velvet box hidden in his pocket, like a quick-draw desert gunman. That's not it. Shannon likes men who are more assertive. I've gotta pump it up with more horsepower. Shannon, put this on your ring finger. That's an order, okay? If I don't say properly that it's on the left hand, maybe she'll put it on her right hand. No, Shannon isn't that ignorant. But unless there's some room for her to express her free will, that'd be a little... No. Whoa. As he crossed his arms, muttering, someone knocked on the door. George was snapped back to reality. Hey, George-kun. You okay? Got a stomachache or something? Hey, Uncle Rudolph. It's okay. I'm fine. No need to worry. Really? That's good then. But you're straining way too much. Your ass'll burst. Rudolph washed his hands, laughing cheerfully as he left. George, realizing that the most embarrassing part hadn't been overheard, relaxed and felt extremely relieved. Kyrie, isn't Rosa here yet? Not yet. She's pretty late. It's a good thing the weather's delaying our flight. If the schedule had gone on normally, she would have missed the plane. What does she plan on doing then? Rosa-san is very much an adult now. She'll manage it somehow. No matter how old they get, older brothers always treat their younger sisters like children. Of course, Dad's always a kid no matter how old he gets. What'd you say? If I'm a kid, that'd make you a baby. Come on, Battler-chan, up you go. Stop it, that tickles. Stop. You look more like two bratty friends than a father and son. Look, she's here. Whoa! If it isn't Rosa-san, Maria-chan, long time no see. Long time no see. Ooh. Maria, shouldn't that be it's good to see you again? Greet Hideyoshi-san properly. No, it's good to see you again. There you go. Well said. How about some candy as a reward? Oh, huh? Where'd I put it? Rosa-san, it's good to see you again. It's good to see you too, Maria-chan. It's been too long, Kyrie-ni-san, Hideyoshi-ni-san. And, oh my, Battler-kun. Look how big you've gotten. Come on. It's embarrassing to hear that from everyone I meet. Hey, Rosa. You're late. If the plane was on time, you'd barely have made it. I'm sorry. We had some trouble making our train connection. So, are we waiting on the weather again? Oh, don't complain. I much prefer the 30-minute plane trip to spending 6 hours bouncing about on a boat. Even if we're kept waiting here for an hour, it's still much faster overall. Is that Maria? You sure have gotten big. She's at that growing age. You haven't seen her for 6 years, right? Of course she's changed. Women are creatures who can be born again in a single day when they have a change of heart. Who? Maria, noticing a big man she didn't recognize mixed in among their relatives, hid behind Rosa's back and glared at Battler. Come on, Battler, say hi. The last time you met her, she was just 3 years old, so you're practically meeting her for the first time. Yeah, of course she wouldn't remember something that happened when she was 3. Hey Maria, long time no see. You sure have gotten big. Maria, this is Battler Oni-chan, Rudolph Nissan's son. Understand? The brother's son is... The brother's the son? Ooh. She was obviously on her guard. After all, it was hardly surprising that she'd be scared if a large guy like Battler suddenly started speaking frankly to her. Battler noticed that as well and thought of various ways he might approach her. Then, he spotted the candy she had in her hand. It was the jack-o'-lantern sweet Rosa had bought for her. I see, it's October, so that must be for Halloween. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank, right? Normally, trying to snatch a sweet away from a small child will result in them crying and screaming. The adults seemed dubious about Battler's tactics, but Maria looked unexpectedly pleased, her face splitting into a wide grin. Halloween! Halloween! See, Mama? Battler also knows about Halloween. See? See? Hey, call him Battler Oni-chan. Sorry, Battler-kun. No, don't sweat it. Please call me Battler. Because I'll be calling you Maria. Look, Maria, it's Halloween. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank. Kya! From inside her purse, Maria pulled out a jack-o'-lantern sweet similar to the one she had in her hand and presented it to Battler. When Battler accepted it, that seemed to be enough to confirm their friendship. The adults were amazed at how good children can be at getting along with each other. Maria had been throwing a tantrum because she wanted a Halloween festival, so Battler, who knew about trick-or-treating, must have felt like an ally. Her defensive posture from before was completely gone. Now she was all cheery, as though they'd been friends for decades. That's right, Halloween's a pretty minor event in Japan. You always see people marching in costume parades on the news from overseas, but I've never seen it here. I wanted to wear a costume too. Wanted to say trick or treat with all the cousins wearing costumes. I see. Next time, let's do it together. What would you like to dress up as? A witch! Beatrice! Oh, milady, what are you doing in such a place? Madam was looking for you. I'm here because I don't want to be found. Anyway, I'm sure she just wants to scold me. Like, is your appearance alright? Watch your language. Ho 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 ho. Without a doubt. You know, when the day of the family conference comes, I always start thinking about this witch for some reason. Oh? And why might that be? The family conference is the day when everyone related to grandfather gathers. I hear that this time, even Battler's gonna be coming after 6 years. What if, just like that, some relative who hasn't shown themselves for several decades suddenly shows up? That's what I'm always thinking about. Oh, could a relative like that exist? I mean, Beatrice-sama. Nobody knows her background. Could she be grandfather's mistress from long ago? What if one of our descendants suddenly appears and tells us to return the gold we were given, or something? Ho 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 ho. Kraus-sama and the others will probably discuss the master's inheritance problem this year too. Once they get so fired up talking about the witch's gold, one could hardly be surprised if that witch herself were to show up, yes? Kumasawa-san, I guess you keep quitting and getting rehired, but you've been here as long as Genji-san, right? You know more about Beatrice, don't you? Who knows? Ho 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 ho. Even if I try to remember, this old woman here can't even recall what she had for breakfast this morning. Kumasawa-san, you're always dodging with those excuses, but you know something, right? Sometimes you feel kinda devious. Like you know something and you're laughing behind our backs. Ho 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 ho. That's harsh. I don't have any secrets. The only thing I can say is that Beatrice-sama is the Golden Witch, and that she is the other master who controls the night of this island. Okay, now you're just repeating stuff Grandfather said. It must be a pain to play along with Grandfather's crap even though you get paid for it. However, I can say this much. What? In ancient times, Rokujima was feared and called Azukishima, Azuki being island. The Azuki is said to be a corrupted form of Akujiki, and in fact, it was called Akujikishima, Evil Appetite Island. That is what is told among the fishermen. I've heard about that before. Supposedly there's lots of sunken rocks and shipwrecks around here, so the fishermen get scared and stayed away whenever they could, right? Evil spirits settle down in Akujikishima and have continually eaten the souls of people since ancient times. Quite a few people lost their lives because of this island. And then that monk, the traveling Shugenja or whatever, built that shrine, reposed the souls and sells them here, right? Sounds pretty crazy though. And that shrine for the repose of souls was destroyed by an eerie violet thunderbolt this summer, which tore up the darkness of the night. Kumasawa-san, you really like those stories. Okay, sure, it'd be pretty creepy if a thunderbolt took out a shrine. But well, it was all worn out from the start. Maybe it just got washed away by some big wave. The evil spirits of Akujikishima woke from their slumber and summoned Beatrice-sama. If Beatrice-sama happens to pay a visit to the family conference... If she does? Kumasawa fell silent for a moment. Jessica was pressing her to keep going, so that gap felt strange and eerie. When Kumasawa noticed that she had Jessica plenty scared with her silence, she grinned broadly. Well now, I wonder what would happen. Ho 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 ho. Whoa, that sounds great. Of course. Won't you be able to do better at work if you get a chance to enrich your heart by living the good life every once in a while? Yep. Can't live right unless both your wallet and your heart are enriched after all. Sure, I'll keep that day open. Go ahead and make reservations. Okay. Don't even think of missing it. Yeah, I'm counting on you. I love you, Kyrie. After kissing the receiver, Rudolph hung up. Before his seat, there were several executives with their sleeves rolled up, eagerly awaiting the end of that phone call. Sorry to keep you waiting. Have we heard anything from the States yet? Yes. You have a call from Dale Watanabe, the lawyer. I'll transfer it. On the whole, how's it going? Well, there does seem to be one unfortunate matter. It appears the other party has no intentions of withdrawing from the trial. Guess there's no fooling them. Please, transfer it here. Understood. I'll do that right away. The executive ordered that the external line be transferred to the secretarial office. At once, the phone in front of Rudolph rang. Hey there. Hello. Sorry for the wait. Ashura speaking. Thanks. How's it going on your end? Hello, President Ashura. Let's skip the pleasantries and jump into the main issue. I've got good news and bad news. Which would you like first? Might as well start with the bad. I hate fighting when there's no dessert. Very well. The bad news is that the other party is getting ready to prosecute. Just a few days ago, a similar trial resulted in a decision in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants were using roughly the same arguments we planned to use, but they were rejected in every case. I'm afraid to say it, but if we face the courtroom as we are now, it's extremely likely that each one of our claims will get rejected. So that trial ended up being a total bust after all. And I thought their position was even more solid than ours. That hurts. Okay, what about the good news? I managed to contact the executives of the other party. I explained the situation we're in, told them we have no intentions of tarnishing their brand's image, and managed to get an understanding. They'll send us their terms over the next few days, and if these are carried out, they promise to withdraw their charges. This is their proposal according to the number 2 man on the board of directors. Your impression? To be honest, I expect their terms will be extremely severe. We estimate that changing the company name and the brand name will be inevitable. I think we'll be able to earn some leeway by playing with the amount of settlement money, making a public apology in a major newspaper, and carrying all this out within a reasonable amount of time. They sure are making this complicated, when they could just tell us to go broke. They only recently switched to a new president, and their groundwork hasn't been completely laid yet. If we resist until the bitter end, they fear the forces opposing the current president won't hesitate to aid their enemies. Hence, their big shots want this matter settled as quickly as possible too. So we might still have enough leeway to get them to mitigate their terms, if it'll lead to a quick settlement. Either way, are we still looking at a crazy sum of money? You need to be prepared for that. Even that would be much cheaper than paying punitive damages. Thank you very much, sir. Please contact me if anything new happens. We're paying you the big bucks, so no idle chit-chat. Ha 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 ha. Thank you, goodbye. Rudolph hung up the phone. The executives sitting in reception seats seemed to have guessed at the contents of that discussion. You guys hear that? Simply put, they'll forgive us if we can pile up enough money. Now, all we've got to do is haggle over the amount of that money. But President, the likely sum for the settlement Mr. Watanabe indicated is too much. We don't have that much of a margin. If we'd known this would happen, we never would have started diversifying. The calculations were that we could escape a capital crisis if we managed to endure for 3 years. To think we'd be stabbed at a time like this, how bad can our luck get? I guess we fell at the step of the hop, step, and jump. It's enough to make you cry. We have no choice but to draw the money from the main bank. Banks are no good. They only bet their money on winners. The economy's improving, but we can't show weakness to the banks. President, do we have access to any funds that are unaccounted for? Funds we are unaware of? Quit it. Do I look like that kind of man? The contents of my wallet are totally exposed to you guys, okay? The account books over there show all our company has. In that case, we need to raise money. We need a sponsor who can draw in several million for us as soon as possible. President, Couldn't something be worked out with one of your personal connections? President. President. Calm down, you bastards. Let me worry about raising the money. You guys just keep the business running without making too much noise. Our accusers are saying they'll let us be if we can show them the money. We've already got thick pipelines in Asia. Things will probably be shaky, but we'll be able to maintain our current deals. Basically, if we can just bring that money together, we'll be able to solve all our problems. Just you watch. I'll fix all of this. I won't leave you out in the cold. Time to start getting your hopes up again. Once this is all behind us, I'll be rewarding all you guys with a champagne tower. I promise you that. So shut up and follow me. Got it? The airplane suddenly shook, probably due to turbulence. Rudolph was jostled awake. He'd woken early that morning and ended up drifting off to sleep while resting in his seat. You okay? Are you sure you aren't still pretty sleepy? After all, it seems you've been really busy with work lately. Being busy with work is nothing to complain about, right? Once I've got nothing left to do, it won't be long before we're out in the cold. Good point. Now that even Battler-kun's back, we'd be looking at worse than just the two of us going around begging. Yeah, our family's all together again for the first time in 6 years. So, the leader of our family's got to give it his best if we want to spend some time alone together. When he looked out the window, he saw that the airplane had already started to drop in altitude considerably. The fishing boats, which had only looked like black cranes a short while ago, were starting to become clearly recognizable. If I could prostrate myself before Father and get 10 million yen every time he slugged me, I'd do it a dozen times. Or maybe he could just go and die already. I've always depended heavily on his financial support, and now I'm after his inheritance. I'm headed straight to hell. I can hardly complain if Father doesn't want to meet the man I've become. Could it be that once again you do not plan on making an appearance at the family conference? Nanjo looked at Kinzo's face, sighing. Kinzo's eyes remained rooted to a strange book on magic. I have no intention of joining those vultures in their debate. They can discuss how they'll suck my bones dry on their own. How utterly contemptible. My, how troublesome. Nanjo shook his head slightly. To him, children and grandchildren were lovely things. He believed watching them grow was the only way to truly enjoy old age, so Kinzo's words were very saddening to Nanjo. If the time comes for me to leave this room, I will show myself, just as she does not show herself yet. When Kinzo raised his face, his gaze pointed at the portrait of the witch, which was respectfully displayed on the wall. Kinzo's mind didn't dwell for a moment on the fact that today was the family conference, where all of his beloved relatives would gather. It was filled only by the face of the witch in the oil painting, who never smiled, except inside the portrait. Everybody knew that interrupting Kinzo when he talked about Beatrice would trigger his wrath. Today I will hold a certain ceremony. Oh? And what might that be? Perhaps it is closer to a gamble than a ceremony. After all, magic without risk can never house a miracle. Nanjo had heard Kinzo say this many times before. You might even call it a pet phrase of Kinzo's. Kinzo apparently believed that magic and miracles could occur if you gambled your own fate with a certain amount of risk and triumphed. I wonder what sort of gamble you're making. As the man who was once called the Golden Gambler, and who's now so old he might pass on at any time. This should be well worth watching. I see. So the secret ritual I've developed after much research appears to be nothing more than a gamble to one unversed in magic such as you. Very well. If I have faith in miracles and win, you will see clearly on this day that all my research did bear fruit, despite it seeming to be little more than the product of my eccentricity. If you win, it will all end just as you have already seen, as nothing more than the eccentricity of an old man who might leave this world at any time. Oh, just what sort of gamble could you be planning to take? As your friend, that bet, or ceremony as you called it. I can only pray most sincerely that you achieve victory in it. Yes, I thank you. Speaking of which, Kinzo-san, have you heard that a much longed-for guest will be present at the family conference this year? What? For once, Kinzo reacted to Nanjo's words and turned around. That's right, Battler-kun from Rudolph's son's family. I hear he'll be coming after an absence of 6 years. I'm sure he's become a splendid boy. Oh, Battler. I wouldn't call him longed for, a guest who's failed to show up for a mere 6 years. After hearing Battler's name and making a disappointed and ill-humored expression, Kinzo turned his back again. I imagine those 6 years went by in a flash for you, considering how you've immersed yourself in your research in this room. However, we might actually receive a visit from a truly longed-for guest. Everything depends on the result of the roulette. The roulette has already started to spin. Will it be rouge or noir? Tonight, let us enjoy ourselves as we see what kind of miracle the roulette will show us. The payoffs are large, and I don't intend to lose. Beatrice, accept my bet. At that time, the telephone on the table rang. The piercing sound seemed to irritate Kinzo, and he picked up the receiver to preserve the silence as much as he could. What is it? I'm busy. Genji speaking. Everyone has arrived. What of it? Just serve them some tea or something. Certainly. I will do so. Kinzo hung up the phone rudely. Looking at that, Nanjo sighed yet again and shifted his attention outside the window. As he is now, I doubt Kinzo would pay any heed to any sort of guest. Certainly, any guest possibly... could any guest possibly make Kinzo come out when the time comes, as he said. Kinzo had a single person in mind, but that was a guest who certainly wouldn't appear. Nanjo stared at the witch of the portrait with her impassive expression, unable to decide whether she was smiling or sad, and then gazed up at the lead-colored sky. So, are all the pieces in place? Shall we line them all up again and start a new game? Any objections from you? Nope, none. The witch looked at him challengingly while elegantly smoking her pipe. And Battler? He just rudely shrugged his shoulders, as if he didn't care what she did. He didn't meet her eyes. But that didn't mean he didn't intend to challenge her. It showed his clear determination to never be taken in by this bastard's tricks. It was an expression of his determination to fight. Don't tell me you're jumping into this without a plan. I don't even know how you'll make your first move, so I've got no plans or anything. Go ahead and move first. Naturally, I'll do so. How shall I break down your defenses? How many moves will it take to checkmate you? This is where you'll see me at my finest. No matter what moves you come at me with, I won't believe in you. As long as I stand my ground on that point, I won't lose. And that means this game's built in a way that makes it impossible for you to win. Perhaps you're right. However, I'm the one who decides how many times we'll hold this game. We'll repeat it over and over again until I win and you acknowledge your defeat. See? In other words, this is torture. An eternal torture that shall continue until you surrender to me. It shall go on endlessly until you acknowledge me and the existence of witches. And then I'll play your game endlessly as many times as it takes until you run out of patience. I've never lost in a test of stubbornness. Oh, did a certain witch plant that idea in your head? Very well. I'm tired of listening to you ramble. Come on, get this started. And then let us begin. I already know all of your moves. And defense doesn't amount to much if the plan behind it is known. Don't think you'll be able to defy me with the same moves. Beatrice, I've got just one thing to say before we start. What is it? Go ahead and say whatever you want. However, whether I believe in you is something I'll decide for myself. No matter how impressive this magic of yours is, my soul won't yield to you. You think this is torture for me? You're wrong. Then what else could it be? This is torture for you. Someday you'll surrender to me and give up. Until then, you'll be tortured over and over again. How amusing, what an entertaining metaphor. Torture, where we torment each other. Yes, truly amusing. Come, shall we begin that torture? Assure me a battler? That concludes the setup, I suppose. As Beatrice said, the pieces are all in place. The conference is ready to begin proper. Every year, the relatives visiting Rokkenjima would let out a sigh of admiration at the rose garden that first greeted them. They would stop there to chat about the roses' beauty and how well they were blooming that year. In the midst of all this, there was a single unhealthy rose, and Maria became overwhelmed with dejection at its condition. But George used his quick wits, and, saying that everything would be fine if they took care of this poor thing, marked it with a candy wrapper, and immediately restored Maria's good mood. Then, Battler, with whom she'd been getting along well since that morning, started talking about Halloween. This was such a favourite topic of Maria's that she began playing around energetically again. To Maria, that marshmallow jack-o'-lantern candy bought by her mother was probably the greatest sort of treasure. they seemed to have bought several, and she demanded a trick or treat from every person she met, giving them candy instead of the other way around. I wonder why Maria likes Halloween so much. I always figured it was a pretty unfamiliar event for the Japanese. Well, it's a kids' festival where they get to parade around in costumes, right? It can be pretty fun to play around in an outfit that's different than usual. I think there's a slightly deeper cause behind it. After all, she is the witch Maria-chan. Come to think of it, when we were at the airport, didn't Maria say that if she was going to wear a costume, it would be a witch? Does she like witches? Yes, she loves them. So much that it becomes a problem. Hey, it's not so bad. You expect kids at that age to love fantastical stuff like that. If it was just a heroine and on some TV anime, at least it'd be cute. Judging by Rosa's appearance, she wasn't very happy about her daughter's love for witches, as a mother. The cousins, other than Battler, seemed to realize this, and they shrugged, wearing stiff smiles. So you're arguing that because she likes witches, she also likes Halloween? If we don't know, why don't we just ask her? Hey Maria, how are Halloween and witches related? As Battler asked that, George and Jessica let out a stifled "ah," as if they were trying to stop him, but too late. Maria might have been waiting for just that question. After beaming for an instant, her expression turned a little mean, as if to say, "You're totally clueless, aren't you?" It was the face of a hobbyist who's been ticked off by an outsider saying something stupid about their favorite subject. To the Celts, the changing strength of the sun over the course of a year signified its birth, its growing up period, its aging and death, and then its revival. I get it. In spring, the weak, warm sun starts to grow up and gets hot, and then it gradually gets weaker and worn out. Sort of makes sense to think of it as the sun living out an entire life. Yes. So they thought that at the end of October, the sun died, was laid to rest in the land of the dead, and then was revived at the winter solstice. And then the name they gave to the last day of their year, when the sun ended its 1-year lifespan and died, was Samhain, and they celebrated then. It's an interesting idea to think that the sun is revived on the day of the winter solstice, when the daylight hours start to grow longer again. It's a case that makes it clear how much the ancients regarded the sun as sacred. I see. So, what does that have to do with witches? It seemed that my casual urging forward had slightly infuriated Maria. She glared at me with eyes that told me to shut up while she explained. Maria seemed to be having a blast as she talked, so I decided not to interrupt. In the interval between October and November, life and death become the closest they ever will. The Celts believed that during this time, the world of the living grew closer to the world of the dead and other worldly beings. And many of those living in the other world would come to visit. It was like the Bon Festival in Japan. At the time, people believed that souls returning to the physical world would go into people's houses, or possess people, and do bad things. So, in order to avoid harm, they performed rituals. One of those was to imitate creepy monsters and scare the souls back, which was apparently a way to avoid being possessed. That part became a festival, which turned into a costume parade. You really know a lot, don't you, Maria? Ain't it the truth? Even I never knew Halloween had such a history. Well, where did that whole trick-or-treat thing come from? Her knowledge was so extensive that the adults had suddenly started listening in too. Maria, who is normally treated like the youngest all the time, puffed out her chest with pride. Saying that this was just a kid's discussion, Rosa suggested that the adults go on ahead and set their luggage down in the guest house. But nobody else agreed to go with her, and she let out a heavy sigh. Ooh, trick or treat is just for fun. It has nothing to do with what was originally a Celtic ceremony. That was created later when Christian customs were mixed in. However, I think it's right for Halloween to be that way. According to Maria, the souls of the dead weren't the only ones who visited from the non-human world. There were also spirits with intimate connections to people's everyday lives. Humans could receive favors from those spirits, so they'd manage to gain magnificent blessings, as well as a year's worth of good crops. So basically, Halloween was also a bit of a harvest festival? I get it. Now that you mention it, I guess October is a turning point in all kinds of ways, including with the seasons. Sort of the opposite of April in Japan. Yeah, that might be a good place to mark it. Ooh, and also, the witches hold a witch assembly then, called a Sabbath. The witches thank the spirits that give out blessings of prosperity and reward them. Halloween costumes imitate the guests that come from the other side. In other words, you might say giving out candy is a way to show gratitude for the yearly harvest. Ooh, just like Giorgione-chan says. So Halloween is a time when those two worlds intermingle? In other words, it's the most important chance for witches to intermingle with guests from that world. Is that what you're trying to say? Ew, just like Battler says. And you know what? October is when the power of witches and demons is at its most vigorous and prosperous. I'm sure Beatrice will come. And then we'll eat marshmallow candies together, and she'll bring me to the Golden Land with her. We'll sing magical songs together, learn magic spells together, learn how to draw magic circles together. And then we'll learn the secrets of runes, and I'll become a great witch really, really quickly. My, isn't that wonderful? It's best for kids to have dreams. By the way, Rosa, how old will Maria be this year again? Maria, that's enough of that. Don't worry about it, Rosa-san. It's a dream all girls have at one time or another. Thank you very much. But Maria has already graduated from that age. Hey, I'm telling you to stop. Rosa scolded Maria, trying to shut her up before her cheery discussion about black magic earned her the snickers of the relatives. Oh? That sounds pretty detailed and impressive. By the way, who's Beatrice again? I know I've heard that name somewhere before. Battler had been gone for 6 years and had completely forgotten about the legend of the Rokkenjima witch. However, when he said he didn't know Beatrice's name, Maria's once bright mood soured in an instant. When he saw that, Battler immediately remembered that it was the name of the witch of this island, but the damage had been done. Until Maria's mood improved, she went on and on about many mysterious and fabulous episodes regarding the Golden Witch. That's enough, Maria. Thank you, Battler-kun, for letting her chat with you. Cannon-kun, don't you have work to do? Please, leave now. Goda-san, it looks like everyone wants to set down their bags for the time being. Sorry, but could you guide everyone to the guest house? Certainly. Well then, everyone, allow me to guide you. Then, if you will excuse me. Goda led the relatives and they began to head toward the guest house. They were eager to set down their luggage and take a breather, so they didn't realize that Rosa and Maria weren't coming with them. After watching them leave towards the guest house, Rosa's face changed suddenly. She let go with the hand that had been gripping Maria this whole time. There was a bright red mark there, making it clear how much excessive force she had been using on Maria's slender arm. That hand then slapped against Maria's head, pinched her left ear, and lifted. Even though I'm always telling you not to talk about witches, haven't I always said that was our promise together? Mama, ouch! Mama, ouch, 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 ouch! You really do like blabbering on about Halloween all the time, don't you? A festival for witches? Who cares about the Celts, black magic, all that trash? You're 9 years old. 9! Because of that scene you made in the train, I went to all the trouble of making a stop and buying you those disgusting monster marshmallows that look like they have fluorescent paint on them. I went out of my way to buy it, even though it made us late. How much more will you embarrass me before you're satisfied? As Rosa cursed, she twisted Maria's ear up, almost as though she was about to tear it off. An expression of anguish spread across Maria's face, while she frantically stood up on her tiptoes, trying to soften the pain in that ear. Rosa suddenly grabbed the candy that Maria had been holding. She threw it on the ground and stepped on it over and over. To Maria, it was supposed to be proof of a memory, of a brief span of time when her mother had bought something fun for her. But now that same mother was grinding it into the ground right in front of her. It was as though a brand had been pushed into Maria's eyes, leaving a mark that could never be erased. What's the deal with this disgusting candy? Disgusting, disgusting. It's because you're like that. It's all because you're like that. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. As she said that, she struck Maria's head over and over again with her palm. She didn't hit Maria's face, because the red swelling would stand out. Maria closed her eyes tightly, patiently bearing her mother's violence. No, that wasn't quite it. Come back, Mama. Come back, Mama. Save me, Mama. Defeat the bad witch. She kept bearing Rosa's assault, muttering that over and over. Didn't I tell you to stop talking about witches? Why, you. Rosa, tired from hitting her daughter, breathed so hard her shoulders shook. Maria grasped her hands together, withstanding it, hoping her mother would return soon. Mama, come back quickly. Save me, Mama. Beat the bad witch. Fine, just stay here like that forever. Just stand there, mumbling about witches and Halloween forever. After hurling those words at Maria, Rosa left in the direction of the guest house, leaving Maria behind. Maria, forgetting even that it was okay to cry, kept staring down at the jack-o'-lantern candy that had been trampled beyond recognition. Oh, Rosa. Where were you? I'm sorry. The roses were so wonderful, Rosa, set your luggage down quickly and come with us. We're gonna go say hi to Anarchy. What happened to Maria-chan? Is she still by the flower beds? Yes. It seems she found a rose she likes and insisted that she'd take care of it, refusing to listen. I decided to let her do what she wants for a while. We sometimes forget that girls have their own little world. Sometimes we have to respect that, right? That's right. Thanks for your concern, Kirie-ni-san. Goda-san, where is our room? I will guide you this way. Allow me to hold your luggage. I'll be fine. I can carry it myself, thank you. Rosa went into her room, guided by Goda. She then closed the door somewhat violently and threw her luggage on top of the bed. She got down on her knees in front of the bed, burying her face in it. For a while, Rosa made as if to shred the sheets with her fingernails, sobbing constantly. Maria-sama, are you alright? Canon appeared from behind a thicket after watching Rosa leave. I'm fine. Maria gave a creepy laugh, but to Canon, who had seen the whole thing, it looked like she was enduring as best she could. She's a horrible person. I can't believe she's a mother. It can't be helped. You can't expect anything better than that to enter a container of that level. I'm just fine. Canon got down on his knees and picked up the trampled candy. It was tragic just looking at it. He thought about dusting it off and returning it to her, but really couldn't do so with it in that condition. Just as he was wondering what to do, he met Maria's gaze. No, that wasn't quite right. Maria was looking at the candy Canon had picked up. Right now, Maria's heart was surely the same as the candy that had been trampled into a pulp. Canon realized this, but didn't know what he should do. That's right. I'll exchange it for the one I received earlier. Canon remembered that a similar candy he'd received from Maria was in his pocket. Maria stuck out her hand. Canon thought she was trying to take it, so he held out the candy, but Maria didn't try to grasp it. Then Canon realized. She was saying, "Give it back." No matter how tragic and trampled it was, this candy was Maria's. Her mother had bought it for her. No matter how tragic, it had to be this candy, and no other. If only it were intact enough that it could be fixed by dusting it off. Canon hung his head. Dusting it off is the most I can do. I'm sorry. Canon held out the miserable-looking candy Maria wanted. She took it and spoke. Thank you. A human can't do anything except dust it off, but a witch could restore it to how it once was. It would be easy for Beatrice. Maria-sama, you know about Beatrice? Sama? Except for Battler, there was no way anyone related to the Ashurmiya family could have failed to know Beatrice's name. But just now, Maria had bragged about Beatrice to Battler. She had spoken almost as though she was meeting with Beatrice regularly. Canon felt a sharp pain inside his left hand, which was curled into a fist. In the past, a witch called Beatrice had appeared to tempt him and Shannon. He'd always tried to think of it as a bad dream. However, Shannon insisted that it definitely was a real witch. And then, this summer, the shrine to the local Shinto god was hit by lightning, disappearing without a trace over the span of a single night. He knew about Shannon breaking that mirror, and he remembered that, as the witch departed, she'd said she'd eventually be revived. And now, this girl who believed absolutely in Beatrice spoke as though she'd met Beatrice herself. Canon couldn't suppress a vague sense of foreboding welling up in his heart. For a while, Maria remained silent, as though she could see into Canon's heart. Almost as though she was waiting for a memory of Beatrice to be revived. And then she spoke, as though it was a fact. You know, I'm friends with Beatrice. I'm even gonna meet her today and play. You're going to play? Yeah, of course we'll play. We're gonna study magic together. The face of that witch, whom Canon had tried to pretend was a bad dream, began to slowly creep into the back of his mind. Father says he's extremely busy with his research. Unfortunately, it seems he'll be unable to come down. Come on. We've put this conference in our schedules and come all the way to Rokujima during this crazy busy fall season. You'd think Dad could at least be a bit more sociable. Yeah, seriously. Dr. Nanjo, is it really his research and his mood that are the problem? He isn't already bedridden, unable to get up, right? Well, I wonder. There is not much I can say. Nanjo glanced at Natsuhi. It seemed he thought it wasn't his place to speak without first getting Natsuhi's approval. Father's state of health is better than ever. It would be exceedingly rude to call him bedridden. But he only has 3 months left to live, right? Normally, wouldn't you expect him to be wasted away, unable to get out of bed? Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? For a normal patient, that probably would be the case. But Kinzo-san has extraordinary willpower. Perhaps that willpower has frightened even the Reaper away. Well, if he's that energetic, then I guess we have little to worry about for the near future, right? Oh, if he's got that much spunk, I wish he'd at least come to greet us. Isn't the whole point of this family conference to come and see Dad's face? I'm not even sure why we came now. Don't say that. If he were here, you'd complain the whole time about being unable to relax. Shouldn't we celebrate the fact that all of us siblings have gathered this year to spend some time alone? We didn't get to see him at last year's family conference either, right? Can't you understand why his blood children might want to see him after 2 years? If there's anything you'd like to say in greeting, I will tell him for you. Or, Eva-san, is there something you'd like to discuss with Father beyond merely greeting him? Come on, what are you talking about? Sheesh. Give it a rest, Eva. Natsuhi-san, forgive us. Ava's just worried about Father's condition as his daughter. Please try and understand how she feels. Indeed. Look how quickly you've grown to respect Father, now that you know how much longer he has left to live. Yes, I believe I do understand why you want to see him so much. What are you trying to say? Quit it, Aniki. Why don't we pray that his mood will improve by dinner? Anyway, we've only just arrived. For now, we're only here for a casual greeting. And we could even hold the family conference without Dad. In fact, there's a few things we siblings shouldn't bring to him until we formed a unified opinion. Isn't that right, Hideyoshi-Nisan? Yeah, just as Rudolph-kun says. This is the only time of year we can all meet in person. We've got to take this valuable time seriously and be frank with each other. Even though the tea hadn't yet arrived, they were very determined. But before that, perhaps we can spare the time to enjoy some black tea at our leisure, surrounded by the wonderful furnishings of the parlor. Kirya's words seemed to contain a subtle admonition directed at everyone gathered there. They all understood, and as they cleared their throats and straightened their neckties, the atmosphere in the room returned to normal for a time. Excuse me, I've brought some tea. Hey, Shannon-chan, you just keep getting prettier and prettier. Shannon entered the parlor, pushing the serving cart. Everyone decided to relax and enjoy some black tea for the time being. A wonderful aroma began to spread throughout the room. As far as anyone could see, this strained atmosphere from before Shannon's arrival seemed like a lie. Of course, Shannon, who is setting out the tea, probably didn't even notice. Kirya seemed to laugh faintly at how adult everyone was suddenly acting. Rudolph didn't like it when Kirya took the initiative and spoke at the family conference. It was his worthless male pride. He probably didn't want to look like a weak man who took advice from his wife. She understood that and did her best to refrain from saying any more than was necessary. So, she separated herself from the circle of siblings, who only superficially appeared to be enjoying some time together alone, and casually drank her tea near the window. Oh, Rosa-san. I thought you siblings were enjoying some alone time. You must be joking. Sorry, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just a little exasperated by my husband. Apparently, Rosa hadn't been able to keep up with that, on the surface, friendliness. They'd come here to fight bloodily and dirtily, each trying to grab a part of the inheritance for themselves. She probably didn't like suddenly pretending that they were all chummy. Or maybe she was still too immature for that. It looks like the wind started blowing hard out there. The plants are all shaking so much. The typhoon's probably gotten pretty close already. I wonder if we'll see a lot of rain tonight. Maria-chan really has grown a lot this past year. Does it look that way? She still can't even fold her own clothing yet. No, it's true. It's because she has such an affectionate mother. She'll grow into a girl with a rich heart. Rosa fell silent. Maybe she was unsure as to what Kirya meant by that. I'm a failure as a mother. Children don't get to choose their parents. That poor girl. Doesn't that go both ways? A parent can't choose what kind of child they have either. Rosa bit her lower lip. This isn't a matter of assigning blame. Isn't it enough that you take your time and watch over her as she grows, conscious of the fact that you'll be living together? You spend every day with Maria-chan, so you probably don't notice the small changes. But the rest of us, who haven't seen her for over a year, can clearly see how much she has grown. If you really mean that, thank you very much. Then, if you will excuse me, if there is anything you desire, please call for it at any time. Shannon bowed politely and left the room. As Hideyoshi and Rudolph, who had a soft spot for women, watched her go, the atmosphere in the room began to revert back to what it had been right before Shannon's visit. If Father can't come down, well, that does still leave us with certain things we can discuss. Right, Rudolph? Yep, that's right. We didn't come all the way out here just to drink some dusty tea, right? Very well. What is this matter that you're so clearly eager to discuss? My. Those people really are determined. They certainly got started quick. I need to join in too. If I don't assert myself, those people will quickly forget that there are 4 siblings. Sounds like you've got it pretty tough yourself. Maybe I spoke too harshly. Forgive me. No, I don't mind. I'm the one who should be apologizing. As a pair of mothers with daughters, we should talk more often. Every single time we meet, we end up talking about something shady. You can blame the atmosphere in this mansion for that. Once you breathe in this air, everyone gets so strained. Just once, I'd like to have a nice, long cup of tea with you when we aren't attending a family conference. There's a wonderful coffee shop in Ginza that's a favorite of mine. Please let me invite you sometime soon. Thank you, Kirie-san. That sounds great. Oh, no. The sky's gotten dark pretty fast. I could almost believe the people in this room made the weather worse. There's already thunder. Oh? Was that one there? Huh? There really were small splashes of rain on the glass of the parlor window. The weather seemed to have worsened faster than expected. Just then, a silent thunderbolt struck inside Rosa's head, and she remembered that her beloved child was out in the rose garden. A normal girl would try to go inside if the weather got bad. But Maria was different. She would sometimes get stubborn and refuse to move if rain or even spears fell from the sky. That's right, I told that child to just stay there doing that forever, didn't I? Oh no! Maria! Everyone looked back at Rosa when she let out a small scream. What? What is it? I'm sorry, I'm going outside for a second. I'll be right back. What the? Seriously, what's going on with her? Don't worry, she'll be back soon. More importantly, shouldn't we begin? Our main topic. That's right. We can keep talking about that without Rosa. Let's return to our discussion. Rosa dashed from the entrance hall into the rose garden. When she opened the door, the wind that hit her was too strong to be called a light breeze, and told her that the typhoon was approaching faster than she'd thought. Just as Kirie had said, the wind was mixed in with small droplets of rain. There was also a low rumble of thunder. It could start raining any time. Rosa headed for the rose garden. She headed for the place where she had scolded Maria a short while ago. It was almost lunchtime. The children had been told to come to the mansion around lunchtime, so they were probably in the guest house waiting to be called. Even if Maria didn't come to them, they would surely think I took her to the mansion with me and wouldn't worry much. After all, she had been with her mother, so there should have been no reason to worry. I was here, and I abandoned my daughter to the worsening weather. Maria! Are you there? If you're there, answer me! Oh, I was right. She was still standing stock still, exactly the same way she had been, in the place where I had scolded her. Held in her hand was the candy that I'd bought, given her, and then stepped on and crushed. With that gripped in her hand, she stood there as the powerful winds whipped her hair about, tormenting her. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Maria. Forgive Mama. Oh, Mama, welcome back. I waited a long time for you to come back. The scary witch pinched me, but I stayed strong, waiting for Mama to come back without crying. Maria, forgive your Mama. Forgive your Mama. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just possessed by a bad witch again. So I'm fine. I really like you, Mama. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive your Mama. For losing to the bad witch. Rosa buried her face in Maria's small chest, crying and begging forgiveness. And once again, those tears dripped down after who knows how many times. If only the brilliant sun had been shining on the two of them, all of their cares would have evaporated, and it might have felt like they could begin anew. However, what surrounded the two of them was the worsening weather. Sadly, there were only fierce winds with occasional thunder. The sound of Maria sniffling brought Rosa back to her senses. If Maria stood exposed to the wind for too long, she'd probably catch a cold. Okay, Maria, it's almost time for lunch. Why don't you come back to the mansion with me? Ew, won't go. Why not? Rosa thought she'd already received Maria's forgiveness, so she hadn't imagined Maria would refuse. But that expression on Maria's face didn't look like that of a child resisting her mother. So Rosa couldn't understand why Maria wanted to stand still, pointlessly, as the weather grew even worse. Maria answered that question. It's Beatrice. She'll be here really soon, so I'm waiting. Maria. Rosa struggled to find words for a moment, then fell silent. They'd only just managed to make up after all. She chose her words carefully, trying to get Maria to come with her to the mansion without denying the witch outright. Beatrice is coming? Who? Really? Then instead of waiting here, why don't we wait in the mansion? If you stay in this wind too long, you'll catch a cold. She'll come. Beatrice will come. And when she does, I'll give her candy. I'll do trick or treat. I'll give her a jack-o'-lantern marshmallow candy and say, Happy Halloween! Ooh. Maria pulled yet another sweet out of her handbag, moaning, ooh, ooh. Rosa was bewildered and didn't know what to do, as Maria started being difficult again. At that time, there was a sudden blast of thunder. It was probably a sign that this island had been sealed off by the storm, detached from common sense and reality. So after this moment, all common sense would probably cease to apply. The wind blew even stronger, and amidst that blizzard of scattered rose petals, a figure appeared, leaving Rosa unable to imagine that this was a scene from reality. It was probably, no, definitely, fantastical. After all, that shadow of a person was... Beatrice! Maria dashed over to the shadow. Normally, Rosa would scold her daughter if she dashed over to someone whom she hadn't seen before and didn't know. But Rosa forgot to do that, was unable to do anything but stand there, stunned. It's been quite some time. Have you been well? Ooh, I've been well. Witches don't catch colds. Ooh. Indeed, a witch can use curses to make people catch colds, but how foolish would it be if she caught one herself? From now on, you should take care not to catch something like a cold yourself. She patted Maria's head as she said this, smiling roguishly. Rosa couldn't have known the name of the woman who was happily spoiling Maria. However, Maria had called it out in the beginning when the woman appeared. So even though Rosa had never met her, even though the woman still hadn't introduced herself, Rosa was able to know her name. However, that name held a special meaning on Rokkenjima and in the Ashuramiya family. There's no way something that stupid could be... Beatrice! Happy Halloween! Look at what we bought! I'll give you one too, Beatrice. Ew. Indeed, Happy Halloween! Oh, is this for me? How truly adorable that a candy would be made out of this, the lonely light of a man lost in the darkness of purgatory, unable to go to heaven or hell. Right now, on this island that has been cut off both from the world of humans and the world of non-humans, there may be no more suitable sweet. Maria? What's wrong with that one? The witch noticed the sweet Maria was grasping. It was Maria's candy, which had been stomped on by Rosa until it reached this pitiful state. Ew. Got stepped on and smashed. Can you fix it, Beto? Maria didn't go so far as to say that it was her mother who'd stepped on it. However, for some reason, when the witch saw that candy, she looked at Rosa and grinned. A chill went down Rosa's spine, as though this gaze was staring straight through her. It shall be easy. Give it to me. Ooh. Maria held the candy out gleefully. Rosa could do nothing but watch, stunned. How did this person plan to trick Maria, somehow undoing the fact that the candy had been pitifully trampled? Maria looked as though she believed it could be fixed good as new. Without real magic, there was no way such a thing could be possible. My, it is quite crushed, isn't it? Come, Maria. Close your eyes and try to remember. Because it really was that wonderful a candy. The candy of your memories is always full and fluffy. So you try to remember as well. What kind of candy was it really? Along with those strange words, spoken as though singing an improvised folk song, the witch threw the sweet into the air. Maria was closing her eyes and remembering, just as the witch had told her to. What shape had that crushed candy really had? Therefore, only Rosa saw that scene. The sweet that had been thrown into the air burst into a gold color. No, that wasn't it. Those were golden butterflies. It scattered into several golden butterflies, and they began to gather at the witch's hand, which was held up to the sky. And as she did this, unbelievably, it returned to its beautiful original form, no different from when it had been bought. Only Rosa and the witch witnessed that scene. Unable to comprehend what was occurring right before her eyes, Rosa stood with her mouth hanging open, completely forgetting to shut it. You may now open your eyes. Take it. With this, your sweet has returned to normal. Oh, Beatrice is always incredible. Incredible! There was a stark contrast between Rosa's shock and Maria's innocent joy. Was that what the witch was laughing at? A smile floated to Beatrice's face, one different from the smile she'd shown Maria. Does my face seem familiar? If you stare so fixedly, you might burn a hole through it. I'm sorry. Those words triggered something very clearly in Rosa's mind. Rosa knew this face. She knew it from the portrait of the witch. But no, wait, could this mystery woman really be? Maria, I give you this in exchange for the sweet you gave me. Huh? A letter? The witch pulled a western envelope from her pocket and gave it to Maria. However, when Maria made to open it, the witch stopped her. You must not. The time will come soon for you to open it, but until then you absolutely must not. Take good care of it. That will be your invitation to the Golden Land. The Golden Land? So you'll finally take me there? Heh? Heh? Take it and treat it with care. You must not show it to anyone. Oh, I'll keep that promise. You've always got to keep promises with witches. And this is for you. Huh? Me? She probably hadn't imagined that the witch would speak to her, too. Rosa was bewildered by the second western envelope, which was thrust before her. She'd seen this type of envelope before. There could be no mistake. It was one of Kinzo's special envelopes, used when he wrote with his own hand and bearing the Ashura family crest. It was sealed with red sealing wax. And furthermore, it had a mark that seemed to have been made by the head's ring. In other words, even without asking what was inside this letter, Rosa knew that this woman, whom Maria called Beatrice, was trusted enough to be placed in charge of a personal letter of the current Ashura head. It could have been any of the 4 siblings. However, the fact that I have met you here probably means that you were chosen by Kinzo's roulette. So take it, then read its contents aloud while seated at the dinner table, when all of the siblings are gathered. What did you say? Rosa looked back and forth several times between the witch's face and the envelope that had been handed to her. Today was the family conference, and the biggest object of discussion would be the inheritance problem. So she had joined together with Ava and Rudolph. And they planned to force a certain condition on Christ to try and extort several 100 million yen in cash out of him. It was as if the witch could see through all of that. What does she intend to announce when all of us siblings are gathered? And with a personal envelope that no one but the Ashura head can use? Maria, the weather is getting worse. Return to the guest house and wait for lunchtime. And Rosa, we will meet again later. Allow me to introduce myself again at that time. The witch turned her back to her, laughing. Then she began to head towards the mansion with an air of composure. Maria energetically called out and watched her go, then began to dash towards the guest house, leaving Rosa behind. As though she wanted to inform the other cousins of her fortunate meeting with the witch as soon as she could. At last, Rosa was left alone in the rose garden as the winds grew stronger, unable to do anything but pray that what had happened was just a daydream. When the witch reached the entrance hall, Genji could be seen there. Genji welcomed the guest approaching from the entrance hall with a respectful bow. I have been waiting. Beatrice-sama. It's been quite some time, Genji. And we got the little jingle of a character update, which I assume is Beatrice. Well, it's at least showing her new outfit, the mysterious visitor, and the 19th person who appeared on the day of the family conference. She goes by the same name as the Golden Witch who gave the gold to Kinzo. Her reasons for visiting are unknown. She was ushered into the VIP room, which no one has been allowed to use in the past. I guess very minor spoilers for literally what's happening now, but yes. This is Beatrice. You've gotten old. No matter how old it becomes, furniture carries out its work like furniture until the end. I remember how that man's wife used to be jealous of you. Is Kinzo doing well? He is doing extremely well. The witch probably laughed because she knew Kinzo's own doctor had announced that Kinzo didn't have long to live. However, if anyone actually looked at Kinzo and noticed his vigor, which wasn't at all what you'd expect from someone nearing the end of his life, they might easily call that doing extremely well. Maybe that's what the witch was laughing at. Then let us go and greet him. I look forward to hurling curses at each other after 30 years. As the witch grinned, she started walking, leaving Genji behind. Her gait was like that of a family member who knew the inside of the mansion well. Genji followed her in the manner of one who served her. At that time, Kyrie came out of the parlor. She'd probably gone out to fix her makeup or something. And when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change. A guest for Kinzo had arrived, despite him being almost dead, on the day of the family conference when the fate of the inheritance was to be decided. And furthermore, this person was familiar enough with the Ashuramiya family household that Genji was following behind her. Kyrie immediately realized that this person she had never met before was deeply important. Kyrie and the witch's eyes met. Realizing that it would be rude to pretend not to notice, she greeted the witch. It's a pleasure to meet you. You were Rudolph's second wife, yes? Correct. This is Kyrie-sama, Rudolph-sama's current wife. From this exchange, Kyrie realized that this was a guest of fairly high rank, even amidst the Ashuramiya family. And the fact that this was a guest on that level, coupled with her resemblance to the portrait in the entrance hall, made Kyrie's eyes instantly open wide. Pleased to meet you. I'm Kyrie. I wonder if this is our first time meeting. If we have met before, I apologize for forgetting your name. So you intend to force me to state my name, even though you already have a vague idea of the answer? Kyrie thought she'd given a sociable and humble greeting. Her expression grew slightly cloudy at that openly oppressive response. At any rate, this didn't seem to be a person she could grow to like. But if Kyrie's guesses were correct, this witch probably held a vital key to what her own husband was most interested in. Something that couldn't help but influence tonight's family conference. So without shooting back a retort, Kyrie silently watched her go up the stairs to the second floor, with Genji following behind. So when someone tapped her shoulder from behind, she was so surprised she almost choked. It was Natsuhi. Kiryu-san, why are you standing still in a place like this? Are you not feeling well? I'm sorry. I was just fascinated by the portrait of the witch for a bit. Oh, you mean the Golden Witch, Beatrice. The one whose gold was supposedly necessary for the revised Ashuramiya family we see today. Quite a fantastical story. Just what one might expect from father. Natsuhi spoke in a perfectly ordinary way. It was the sort of comment you'd expect from someone convinced that the thought of a witch existing was ridiculous, no more than another of Kinzo's ramblings. However, for some reason, that point of view didn't seem quite right to Kyrie now. Just a moment ago, she herself had seen the Golden Witch come in from the entrance hall and climb the stairs. So Natsuhi's words made it feel as though someone was trying to deny the existence of that person, or else make it seem like she was never there to begin with. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm getting a bit of a headache. I think I'll rest for a little while. Oh, is that so? Then I have some good headache medicine. I'll get it for you. The hallway in front of Kinzo's study was filled with the scent of sweet poison, peculiar to that green liquor. Genji, who was completely used to it, did not grimace. And then the Golden Witch didn't grimace either. How long has he been in there since last he left? I believe it has already been several years. Is he that desperate to turn me into a bird in a cage? How pitiful. By now you're the bird in a cage. You're the ghost of the study, are you not? How pitiful that he is unable to recognize even that. Until he meets you again, he will probably continue his research, even after literally becoming a ghost. Is it love or madness or a delusion? And yet, perhaps even those can form magical power when strong enough. You sad magician. The witch grasped the doorknob to the study. When she did, there was a sound like that of flesh burning and splitting open. It was the sound of the doorknob literally burning the witch's hand. Beatrice-sama. What is this? A ward against magic? Is that person unable to get by without relying on something like this? I have heard that this door would cause you great pain, Beatrice-sama. Shall I open it? No, it is fine. If he wins, I will be a bird in a cage for all eternity. If he loses, only the life of a laughingstock will be left. The life of a pitiful magician who went mad with love and lost everything. Already, Kinzo and even I are nothing more than pieces laid out on the game board. All that is left is for the roulette to decide who wins and who loses. Until the roulette shows its result, there is no need for me and Kinzo to meet again. The witch looked at her hand, which was beginning to heal bit by bit, even though it had been horribly burned. Or perhaps that is why he has this ward here in the first place. Yes, perhaps even that is honorable in its own way. By now, everything sits on top of Kinzo's game board. I like it, Kinzo. Allow me to enjoy my game with you. Allow me to enjoy the failure of the final gamble of the old magician who fell in love with me and threw away his entire life. And that's going to do it for this episode. That was a long one, but there was a whole stretch that just ran into each other I wanted to fit in. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, when perhaps we will spin the roulette.